Have you ever stopped to think about what's really inside the software you use every single day? I mean, you see the buttons, you use the features, but what if I told you that at its very core, a lot of it is hollow? Yeah, there's a big secret at the heart of programming that's leaving much of our digital world surprisingly empty. So let's pull back that curtain.
Okay, to really get this, we need a simple, kind of delicious metaphor. Bagels and muffins. Now, think of a bagel program. It looks perfectly fine on the outside, right? But the most important part, the actual logic, the algorithm, is all scattered and lost, leaving a big old hole right in the middle. On the other hand, you've got a muffin program. It's solid. The algorithm is baked right in, making the whole thing complete and understandable. So the big question is, are we building a world of digital bagels or muffins? So where did this whole idea of digital baked goods even come from? Well, it's the brainchild of a veteran programmer named Valeri Rakitine. And for him, this isn't just a funny comparison. It's his way of diagnosing a huge problem he's seen growing for decades. Now, Val Rakitine has been programming since 1976. Let that sink in. And he argues that for a programmer, your most fundamental tool isn't your keyboard or your favorite language, it's the very concept of what a program is. And he believes that this tool, this core concept, has gotten dull and imprecise, causing us to build these hollow bagel programs without even realizing what we're doing.
Okay, so what's causing all this? Why are we ending up with these hollow programs? To get to the root of it, Rakitine uses another really powerful metaphor, and this one, well, it gets right to the heart of the issue. He calls it the parable of mold and dampness. Here's how it goes. In the world of programming, we spend a ridiculous amount of time and money fighting mold. You know, things like bugs, security holes, performance issues. But these are just symptoms. The real problem, the thing causing the mold in the first place, is the dampness, the deep foundational flaws like bad architecture and a total disregard for the core algorithm. We just keep scrubbing the mold off the walls, but we never, ever fix the leaky pipe in the foundation.
And this quote just perfectly illustrates that dampness. Rakitine noticed this really weird thing. Whenever he'd ask developers to show him the business logic, the actual blueprint, the algorithm, they would just point him to thousands and thousands of lines of code. It's like asking an architect for the building plans and they just hand you a pile of bricks. The main idea, the very soul of the program, has been completely swallowed up by its implementation.
So, where did the algorithm go? Well, basically, we started skipping a super critical step. With all our modern, high-level languages, it became just too easy to jump straight into coding. That essential first step from 40 years ago, drawing a flowchart, actually writing out the logic, it just vanished. And now, the algorithm is like this invisible ghost, scattered and hidden deep inside the machine's instructions.
This all brings us to the solution Rakitine is proposing. And it's not just a new tool or a new framework. No, it's a completely new way of thinking about how we build our digital world. He calls it eco-programming.
Now, the core idea behind eco-programming is pretty bold. It argues that any piece of software that can't be changed easily and cheaply is, by its very nature, environmentally harmful. I mean, think about it for a second. It becomes disposable. We create mountains of digital waste and burn through tons of resources every single time it has to be rebuilt from scratch.
And here is a startling reality check. If you go on Google right now and search for eco-building, you will get millions of results. Sustainable construction, green architecture, all that stuff. But if you search for eco-programming, you find almost nothing. It's a shocking sign of just how far our digital construction practices are lagging behind our physical ones.
So how do we start building this way? Well, the whole idea rests on three main pillars. First, our software has to be sustainable, reusable, and adaptable, not just throwaway code. Second, it needs to be reprogrammable, meaning it's designed for change from day one. And finally, it has to be efficient, cutting down on all the complexity that creates waste in the first place.
Okay, so that's the why. But what about the how? How do we actually start building solid muffin programs instead of these hollow bagels? Well, it all starts with putting the algorithm back where it belongs, right at the very beginning.
Now, to really get this next part, we need to understand the way Rakitine uses his words. He makes a really important distinction between a methodology and a technology. A methodology is a worldview. It's a philosophy. It's about what you put at the center of your work. A technology, on the other hand, is just a tool. It's oriented towards getting a specific job done.
And that leads us to the core methodology, algorithm-centric programming. With this approach, the algorithm isn't just some vague idea floating around. It's an explicit, tangible thing. It's the blueprint that the customer, the programmer, and even the computer can all look at and understand. It's the single source of truth. The code? That just becomes the way you execute the plan.
But look, a methodology is just a philosophy without a practical tool to back it up. To make all this real, Rakitine actually developed a technology called V-Agent-Oriented Programming, or VAOP for short. This is the toolkit for building software this way. It uses these things called V-Agent scripts to capture the algorithm separately, making sure the business logic is always clear and totally distinct from the code.
But a good idea just isn't enough. To truly fix the dampness problem in our industry, it's going to take a collective effort. And that's why this story gets bigger. It expands from just a methodology into a full-on global movement.
Here's the real challenge. It's economic. Just like in the real world, it's often way more profitable for developers to get paid for quick fixes and constant maintenance, to keep painting the fence, than it is to invest the time and money up front to build a solid, sustainable foundation. This isn't about lazy programmers. It's a systemic issue.
So, to fight this, Rakitine founded the Eco-Programming Alliance. Its whole mission is to champion these ideas, to bring developers, businesses, and academics to the same table, and this is critical, to develop actual metrics to measure the sustainability of software, to finally make the invisible cost of all these bagel programs visible to everyone.
And believe me, this idea is picking up some serious steam. What started as a technical article back in 2021 has blossomed into a real movement. By 2024, it's not just some niche idea anymore. It's being discussed with the United Nations. The ultimate goal here is to work with the UN's Codes Coalition to introduce sustainability standards for software, just like we have for pretty much every other major industry.
So this whole thing leaves us with a pretty massive question. As we rely on software for literally everything in our lives, we have to ask ourselves, is our entire digital world built on a foundation of disposable hollow bagels? And maybe more importantly, what's it going to take for all of us, the people who create and use this technology every single day, to finally start demanding solid, sustainable muffins instead?